Okay, so starting our session today, first of all, I would like to welcome everyone. I'm Victoria, marketing specialist here at ElectroNeek. We hope everyone is well today, and we're very happy that you are attending our webinar. Today, we're going to have a great live tech demo presented by our sales engineer, Ivan Ramos, about ElectroNeek Hub and Bot Library, the ultimate resource for automation services. For those who don't know us yet, today Ivan will present an in-depth and more practical way ElectroNeek's platform can enable you to fast-track your automation solutions with a no-code platform and also how to work more efficiently. Here, I would like to present our agenda, a quick intro that I just gave to you guys, a live tech demo, and by the end of the session, we are going to have a Q&A with Ivan. So feel free to send your questions in the chat or into the Q&A feature that at the end of the presentation, we are going to answer them all. And in case you don't want to send them here, we can also, by the end of our session, we're going to share a QR code that you can schedule some time with us and a conversation with someone from our sales team or more in-depth demonstration. So I hope you all have a great webinar today and happy automation for all of you.
Right. So as Mr. mentioned, don't forget to leave your questions in the chat or in the Q&A section. We will be answering those at the end of the session. So first of all, let's start with the account portal for the ElectroNeek platform. So what we see here is our portal with the three main hubs. This is how we divide our platform into three hubs. We have the automation hub, which contains all the tools related to building and deploying your automations, your workflows. Then we have business hub, which contains mostly tools related to sales and the business side of the RPA project. And service hub, which contains all support related features to support the other two hubs as well. We will be going more in depth into each one of these, starting with the automation hub. So the automation hub has three core tools as well as other tools that complement those. So the three core tools are Studio Pro, Orchestrator, and Bot Runner. So let's start first explaining what Studio Pro is. So Studio Pro is our development environment. This is our IDE. It's a low-code, no-code, drag-and-drop based visual development environment. This is where you actually build the workflows themselves. This is where the automations are built, and this is a Windows application that contains the interface for building them. Then, once those workflows have been built, they need to be deployed, and they will run on Bot Runner. Bot Runner is the agent which receives the logic of these workflows and executes them also on a Windows machine. Then, in order to connect these two systems, in order to connect the development side to the deployment side, that's where Orchestrator comes in. And the Orchestrator is different to Studio Pro and Bot Runner because it's not a local application that needs to be downloaded. It can be entirely handled all inside this same platform through your browser because it's a SaaS application. It's hosted on our cloud. So let's actually go deeper into Orchestrator since we have it right here in the browser. As we mentioned, Orchestrator is the bridge between these two. So this is where you publish the workflows that are built on Studio Pro and where you can manage where to deploy those workflows. So the first thing we can see here is a dashboard. This is just a quick summary of everything that's going on in this Orchestrator. Then we have the Workflows tab, which contains all the workflows that we have built on Studio Pro and published over to the Orchestrator. You can see a list of them, a quick status, and the latest execution status as well. So what happened the last time it was executed. And we can actually go deeper and click on each one of these workflows and check out their settings and check out some more specific information for that workflow. So we can see the name, the description of that workflow. We can set up some settings such as the email alerts in case that the workflow fails. We can set up collection of logs. So when these bots run, the logs for those executions are automatically collected on the orchestrator. You can see the full run history right here with time, what runner was used in that execution, what was the status, the duration of that launch, and you can also check out the logs here. And you can also use the orchestrator to manage how you want to deploy those workflows. So first, you need to assign which bot runners you want to run this workflow on, and then you can set up how you want to run them. So you have the option to run them on demand with the Run Now button. You can use the webhook link to generate a URL that you can use to run this workflow. And you can also set up schedules so the bot runs automatically based on a specific schedule or multiple schedules. You can set up schedules that are just once a day or once a week, once a month. You can really customize them however you want, even multiple times per day. And you can combine them and then activate or deactivate them. There's also a newly released feature for a version history where you can upload multiple versions of a bot as you update it. And then you can select which one of those do you want to run in bot runners. You don't need to always run the latest version. You can keep a previous version while you keep updating and then select another version to run. And you can also download backups of these workflows. Right, so in order to run these workflows, of course, you need bot runners, and you can set up those bot runners right here in the bot runners section of the orchestrator. So in order to set up these bot runners, all you need to do is create tokens and then set up those tokens in the bot runner application that you install on Windows machines. Those machines could be on your infrastructure or on your end customer's infrastructure, depending on the case. And as an ElectroNeek customer, you have unlimited bot runners. So you can set up as many bot runners as you wish. Then you can manage those bot runners individually right here, like delete them or rename them. And you can manage them at a token level as well. For example, you could have a token that corresponds to a customer, and you could disable all of a single customer's bot runners from this screen as well. Then in the integrations tab, we have more ways of connecting your bots to external systems. So the orchestrator actually includes an API inside it that allows you to create your own integrations and set up how you want to run your workflows, but also how you can manage your workflows, manage your bot runners, and also monitor and manage your current executions. And then there's also a Zapier integration. We are the only RPA platform that has a native Zapier integration that allows you to run your workflows when some action that you can set up in Zapier has been made on any of the systems of the hundreds of thousands of systems that Zapier has already integrated into their platform. For example, you can have an email message via a Gmail, via Outlook, or via any other service trigger the execution of an ElectroNeek workflow. Same thing with a message on Slack or with any other action that can be set up as a trigger on Zapier. And this integration is available on Zapier, and connecting it is extremely simple. It only requires some steps that are documented here and the token. Right, then that will be all for the orchestrator. I will now be showcasing Studio Pro before returning and showing a couple more features of the Automation Hub, including IntelliDocs and the bot library. So I have Studio Pro open right here, and I want to quickly showcase the interface. So Studio Pro, as we were mentioning, is our development environment, and it's a local application. So that's why I didn't open it in the browser. It opened as a separate application. And inside Studio Pro, we can build our workflows in two different ways. We can create them in playground mode, just as a quick demonstration or to test something out very quick, or we can create them as projects. That creates a folder with everything that the bot needs. In this case, we'll just use the playground mode to showcase the interface. So actually give ourselves some more space here. And this is the Studio Pro interface. In the middle, we can see the canvas. This is where you actually build the workflow itself. And the building blocks for that workflow are the activities. These are the commands that can be added to the workflow in order to have the bot perform certain steps. As you can see, they're categorized right here, depending on their function. And if you click on the categories, you have some subcategories in some cases. And inside those, you can find the specific activities that you can perform. For example, in the general logic section, we have some of the most common activities that would be performed on pretty much any use case, like, for example, opening a specific application. And if we want to add that to the workflow, we just need to drag it over to the canvas. And as you can see, since I had the start node selected, it was automatically connected, but I can also deselect and drag another activity and then manually connect it by clicking and dragging on the white nodes right here. These activities are added, but they are just templates at the moment, so I need to customize them by clicking on them and setting up their properties right here on the Properties tab. So for example, if I want to open an application, I need to specify what is the application I want to open, right? So I can select that from the list and, for example, open Adobe Acrobat. And if I need to use any launch parameters, I can set it up. But as you can see, it's an optional parameter. It's not required as the first one is. And of course, the properties change depending on the activity, and every single activity has its own set of properties that you need to set up for that activity to work. In the case of the assigned value to variable activity, this will set up a value inside a variable that you can check out in the variables tab later. For example, you can create a variable called test. And once we have set it up, we can see that it's also visible right here in the variables tab. In some cases, you have more than one exit node, like for example, in the if-then activity. If the if-then condition is true, the workflow continues through the yes path. And if it's false, it continues through the no path. And you will also notice that there's a red dot on all of them. That's an optional exception handling node that can be used for when something goes wrong with that activity. Regarding which types of activities we have available, you can see that we have activities for GUI automation, web automation as well. These are very similar. They can interact with any element on both a desktop interface on the GUI automation activities or a web interface on the web automation activities. The way that these work is you capture an element and you can perform any of these activities on them, such as clicking, sending text, sending a hotkey, grabbing the properties, and so on. There's also activities for other specific tasks, such as OS automation for files and folders, working with the clipboard. There's MS Office activities. We recently added a lot of activities to the MS Excel section as well. So we will actually be showcasing those in a future webinar as well. We have integrations with Outlook and Office 365. We also have other options for automating, which includes the ability to run code natively. And we even added very recently the ability to generate code via artificial intelligence automatically via the same interface of the platform. You can read far more about that in our official materials. We also have the ability to connect to API, to REST APIs, to databases natively. We have email activities as well that you can use to read or set or receive emails and read them, or to send them as well. And we also have some document processing activities. We have integrations with traditional OCR engines, and we also have our own IDP solution, which is IntelliDocs, and I will be actually talking about that in a minute. We also very recently added some OpenAI activities, which contain a native integration to OpenAI's GPT language model, which allow you to ask the AI a question via the Ask AI activity. This is very similar to what one would do with ChatGPT. And we also have an edit text activity, which allows you to input a text and then input a transformation for that text. For example, you can translate a text, correct it, summarize it, or anything else. So that's a quick overview of the Studio Pro interface, and that's how one develops workflows inside it, by adding activities and then connecting them as required. So you can customize how these workflows look in any way. And that is how Studio Pro looks. Of course, there's documentation for every single one of these activities and also the usage of Studio Pro itself. And we'll actually look at that when we talk about the Service Hub. Returning now to the Automation Hub, I want to quickly discuss IntelliDocs as well. IntelliDocs is our IDP solution. This is about intelligent document processing. This is our solution for not just traditional OCR, where you just extract text from an image, but actually also intelligent recognition of the fields and the type of document that you're using, and also the intelligent structuring of those fields. So the fields that are extracted are actually set up intelligently as well. Inside IntelliDocs, you can set up different document streams, so you can individually set up different API keys for your customers to consume IntelliDocs pages. So what you're basically getting with IntelliDocs is your own intelligent document recognition API that you can distribute to your customers individually by using these streams, which you can set up individual page count limits. You can activate and deactivate them whenever you want. And you can also check out the history of each one of these streams and check out how they've been used by clicking on their names as well. There's also the option inside the portal itself to quickly test a document with one of these existing streams. So you can see the result very quickly and use this, for example, to showcase the functionality. Finally, inside Automation Hub, we have our new bot library, which contains dozens of examples of pre-made use cases that we have built to showcase the platform and also for you to be able to download directly and learn how to build. Each one of these bots, which you can see have been divided between managed services, business cases, and technical bots. They contain not just a quick demo of how these bots run, also the full instructions on how to build them, and you can also download the bot itself. Actually, you want to showcase a very quick demo that we have right here for intelligent customer support. So I can show you how the interface looks and also show you an example that you can download from the bot library once you get access to the application. So first, you have a quick description and prerequisites for carrying out or replicating the same bot in your own environment. Then you have a demo, which we will be watching in a second. And then you have both step-by-step instructions to run this workflow and also a video that shows you the creation of this workflow from scratch. In this case, for example, it's 1 hour, but it's the full creation of the bot. In most cases, it's between half an hour and at most an hour and a half, depending on how complete and how complex the case is. We have both very simple cases and both complex cases inside the library. So for example, let's watch and let's see how this particular case looks. This one is about intelligent customer support. And what this workflow does, it actually reads tweets from a Twitter account. This is just a quick example to showcase a customer support, but it's going to be reading tweets from an account, then reading the replies to that tweet, to those tweets, sorry. And then it's going to perform an intent analysis on all of those tweets to determine whether they are positive or negative. It's going to generate a summary for all of them. And it's actually also going to suggest or recommend a reply for them. So let's quickly jump over to the execution of it and see how it works. All of this analysis and generation of the reply is going to be made via GPT. So first thing first, it's opening the Twitter account and it's going to extract all of the tweets and then the replies to those tweets using web scraping. We have a web scraping activity within Studio Pro. And for each one of these tweets, it's going to grab the top 3 replies, and then it's going to perform this sentiment analysis via GPT and determine not only if it's negative or positive, but also what should be the best reply for it. In this case, we're not replying to the tweets themselves. We're generating an Excel report that we are sharing via email to a social media manager so they can determine how to proceed on each one of those cases. So right here, we can see that it's still going. It's extracting the information from the tweets. And once it's done, it showcases this message telling us that all the tweets and the replies have been processed. And we can check out the Excel file with the results. And let's quickly jump over to the completed Excel file right here, where we can see that columns A to F are the content of the tweet itself and the tweet that it was replying to, including its date, its text, the name of the user, and so on. And everything starting on column G up to column J, those are the results of the GPT analysis. So you can see we have a feeling, positive or negative. We have a value where 0 is the most negative possible and 10 is the most positive possible. And we have a summary, a very quick executive summary of what's going on in this tweet, and then a recommended reply where the AI puts itself in the place of the company and generates a possible reply for it. You could very easily use the same logic to replying to any other social media or even to support tickets where you just get the content of a ticket or a reply or a request of any type, even an email, and then the bot can generate the same kind of information. The intent analysis, a summary, and a recommended reply as well. This is then sent via email as well. You can use this information in a report or send it via email, or you can have the bot actually use this information to reply. Right, that's a very quick example then of a bot from the bot library. And just as a reminder, you can watch how it's made and also download the bot itself and customize it for your own use or use it as is. Right, that would be everything for the Automation Hub. So let's now dive a bit deeper into the other two hubs of the platform. We have the Business Hub and the Service Hub. So first of all, the Business Hub is not related at all to the technical side that we just went through. Automation Hub contained everything related to, as we mentioned, creating and deploying the bots and materials for that. But Business Hub contains materials to train your team and train your company on the RPA selling process and everything involved in selling RPA, in an RPA business. So, for example, we have Campus right here, which contains training materials and courses created by our team that are very specific about different steps of the RPA business journey. We actually divided them between these 4 different categories. We have a starter kit. When you're just getting started, what do you need to know when you're starting an RPA business? Then when you're selling to your customers, when you're setting up your team structure for an RPA business, and also when you're trying to get new leads and new customers, to have different tasks and different type of processes inside of each one of these journeys. And we have materials that will help support you on every single one of those steps. Of course, this is useful not only if you've never sold RPA, but also if you're already doing it. This is very good material for strengthening those processes as well. And just like these materials that we have in Campus, we have the wiki, which contains the same 4 categories, and these are supporting materials for those same courses. This includes blueprints, templates, pre-made materials that you can use, customize, and then reuse as your own for every step of the way. So, for example, we have some demonstration videos, some case study examples. We have examples of how to build a sales deck, a casebook, how to define an ICP, depending on which step of each one of these journeys you're on, you will find different materials. For example, questionnaire forms for a POC, or guides on how to make a successful demo, examples of a pricing calculator, a proposal template, really every single material that you would need throughout your sales process. You will get support on that side as well, not only on the technical side, but also on the business side with these materials. There's also a reselling module that allows you to manage resales of Orchestrator and Studio Pro to your customers if that is something that arises. In most cases, you can use your own Studio Pro and Orchestrator to sell bots in any method that you wish, be a subscription or via packages or in any other way. But if your customers at some point demand their own control of their bots, you can resell Orchestrator to them. And if they want to maintain or build their own bots, you can also resell Studio Pro to them. And there's a revenue sharing program within our platform, and you can manage those resales within this module as well. And of course, more details about this process can also be acquired by talking to us via the QR code that you will see at the end of the meeting, at the end of the webinar. That will be all for Business Hub. And now let's jump into the final hub, which is the Service Hub. So first of all, the main page of Service Hub is the Support Center. This is where you can contact our support team and open requests, and then follow up on which requests were open or closed. What does a request mean? Well, you can at any point submit what you believe to be a product bug. For example, something went wrong on your bots and you know that you follow the documentation and you know everything was going correctly. So you can submit issues that you have while you're running your bots. You can ask any question about where the different materials of the platform are located, what you have access to, and any other questions related to your access to the platform itself. You can ask questions about security or request penetration tests in case that you require any specific information about how we handle different aspects of our security and how data is moved between our products. And there's also a very special type of support called development support, which you can request. So development support is not the traditional break and fix reactive type of support. That's what the other questions are for, where you can submit an issue or ask a question and our support will be answering those. Development support is more about proactive support. It's about getting a development consultant on your projects and helping you throughout your projects, helping you provide best practices for your development, recommendations on what are the best activities for each step, and providing materials throughout development. So they're not just helping you when you've already built bots and they're not working, they're helping you while you're building the bots as well. So this is a great type of support that is no other RPA platforms are currently offering, and we have a specific type of role for this. We have not only our customer support engineers, which are of course the traditional break and fix reactive type of support, but also we have development consultants specifically for development support. And of course, once you select your issue type and which product your request is related to, then you just need to describe your issue and, if necessary, attach a file with some screenshots or logs, for example. You can add more users from your team into the ticket and then create that request and follow up on it through the support center. Then within the Service Hub, we also have other features and resources that are very helpful throughout development and to help you and support you throughout development. So we have, for example, the community forum. The ElectroNeek community forum is the meeting place, the gathering place for all ElectroNeek users around the world. As you can see, there's actually even questions in different languages. This is not just for users to answer other users and to read their the replies, but our team is also constantly monitoring these forums and replying to them and providing help throughout them. If some requests go too technical or are too specific, then we do recommend going through support. But in some cases, some questions or some requests are very simple and they can be fixed or solved with a simple answer in the forum itself. And even if you have some specific issue, it's always a good practice to search in the forum to see if somebody else had that issue in the past and maybe it was already answered in the past. So really, that's a great resource as well. Then we have the newly refreshed ElectroNeek documentation. We used to call this part of the platform help center, but we very recently reformatted and recreated a lot of this documentation, and we've been launching this new documentation portal recently. You can find in this documentation portal articles about every single product inside the platform. You can see that it's divided between the hubs as well. You have some guides that will help you build and manage your bots as well, from creating your first bots with a very simple hello world example to deploying your bots, as complex as they can be, even deploying them on remote desktops. You have specific guides on every single activity that you have in Studio Pro that will help you understand not only what that activity does, but also how to set up every one of their parameters as well. And you also have some other articles, for example, on security, on troubleshooting, some FAQs, API documentation, as well as release notes right here. And there's also some very, very useful how-to articles that will help you solve very specific and common issues that we see that our customers are facing with some different types of activities. So for example, how to modify the format of a cell, how to manage large files in Excel, how to calculate the length of an array or a list of objects, how to remove special characters from a text, working with queries as well. So there's really, for very specific issues that we see that are the most common, we not only have the full documentation available for the platform, but we also have specific how-to articles to solve them. And we are actually constantly adding content to these how-to articles as well. And this is a great resource for solving some specific issues that you might encounter while developing. Finally, we have the ElectroNeek Global YouTube channel. This is where we have tons of video content, including webinars such as this one. We have workshops, we have tutorials, other webinars that are not as technical as this one. This one is more about tech demo, but there's also some more business-focused webinars for not only for specific features of the platform, but about the RPA market and industry in general, and about specific trends, for example, GPT and where they're going. About IntelliDocs, we have some full webinars on not only how it benefits businesses, but also how to use it, and some use case examples, actually, both for IntelliDocs and for GPT. We also have one that's very interesting if you use ConnectWise, where you have some use case examples for ConnectWise integration. And you will be able to find a lot of content like that. And of course, this is an open channel, so you can subscribe to it at any point, and we really recommend that you do so. So those are some of the features and resources of the Service Hub as well. And with this, we've completed the tour of the platform and the tech demo of the entire platform. We went through every single one of the hubs, the Automation Hub, the Business Hub, and the Service Hub. And with this, I believe we can now move on to the Q&A part of the presentation. I will stop sharing my screen and we can move on to that.
Thank you, Ivan. It was a great presentation. So we actually have 2 questions. I don't know if anyone has another question. There's still time. So the first one is, what are the different ways that a bot can be triggered?
Right. No, that's a great question, because it's actually, we give a lot of flexibility to how the bots can be triggered. So we can trigger them manually by just executing with the Run Now button. You can set up a webhook link. So if you use that webhook link, you can trigger it from a Chrome bookmark, for example, or from a button on a web form, or from any element that is connected to a website. You can trigger a bot from that. Doesn't even need to be on the same machine where the bot is going to run. If you set up the bot to run on a VM, for example, and you have that link on your machine, if you click on it, it will run on that VM. It's not going to run on your machine. So it's really a great way to execute that remotely as well. Then the API is a great way to do that as well. And you can even use the API to send input data to the bot as well when you're triggering it. And the same can be done with Zapier. So let's say, for example, that you want a bot to act as a chatbot. So you want it to receive text from WhatsApp or from Slack or from Teams or any other messaging application. You can have the bot receive the data about the message that was sent, who was the user, what is their number or their name or their username, and what is the content of their message as well. And the bot can receive all of that information to make decisions on how to answer it or what to process. So let's say that the person is asking to perform a specific task for example, let's say they lost their credit card, and you're a bank and you need to, or your customer is a bank and they need to deactivate that credit card in their system. The bot can read that message and understand that the next action needs to be setting up or executing that workflow for deactivating a credit card, and it can do it automatically. And that you don't need to build a specific connector to that WhatsApp or Telegram or any other messaging application. You can do that automatically via Zapier and receive the data on the bot. And of course, you can create, via the API, you can create your own integrations as well. So really, what that provides is not only a ton of pre-made connectors, but also the flexibility to create any other connector as well, even if it's not available. So really, there's pretty much infinite ways of triggering bots with all those options, as well as schedules, of course, which I didn't even mention, but that's another way as well.
Great. And the other question that we had, I hope Ivan's answered completely what you guys were asking. And the other question is, what are the benefits of adding streams from IntelliDocs?
Right. So streams are a great way to actually manage who is using IntelliDocs. So once you have IntelliDocs on your platform, you have a certain amount of pages that you have for your entire organization, and that you can use throughout your the year, the month, or multiple years. But you're not going to be using all those pages on a single customer. In most cases, you can offer for multiple customers to consume pages from that total. And instead of having a single point of contact where all of them are connecting to the same API and they're all consuming from the same limits, and you don't have control over who is using what, the document streams allow you to individually set up who is going to consume data from or process documents via IntelliDocs. So, for example, let's say you have 4 customers that are going to be processing documents via IntelliDocs. You can set up 4 document streams, one with the name of each one of their customers, assign different limits for them. Let's say that with customer A and B, you agreed on a limit of 10,000 pages, and with customer C and D, you agreed on 30,000 and 50,000. You don't need to set up a global limits, and they won't be stepping on each other's limits. They will have their individual limits if you use document streams. And let's say for some reason they're paying a subscription, and at some point they stop paying, and you want to suspend their usage of IntelliDocs, you can do that individually instead of affecting everybody else by simply shutting down IntelliDocs or something like that. You can just deactivate their specific stream while all the others continue working. So that's the great benefit of streams. You can individually manage who is using what and how they're using it, and it gives you far more control. And that's part of our approach. That's why IntelliDocs is specifically built for MSPs. It's not particularly, it's not like other IDP solutions that are more agnostic in terms of who is using it, if an MSP is using it or an end customer is using it. Just like our platform is tailored to service providers and IT teams that want to automate for either internal or external processes or customers, well, that's the same philosophy that is driving IntelliDocs as well.
Great answer. I think this summarized what the person was asking. Well, thank you, Ivan. I think we don't have any more questions for today, but if anyone has another question, feel free also to connect with Ivan on LinkedIn. And I'm also going to be adding a link here in the chat. And last but not least, we also have, for those who are interested in having a more complete demo or more personalized session with our sales team, we invite you to scan our QR code. I'm leaving also the link as mentioned here in the chat. So if you cannot scan it, I'm simplifying the process to you, so you can easily schedule a demo with one of our experts and have more information about our platform. Thank you to everyone that participated in the session, that send us a question today. And also, I wish you all happy automation, and see you all soon. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, everyone.